Do you spend hours practicing but never see any real progress? After years teaching over 2,000 musicians, I found most of them, including experienced players, make the same critical errors without even realizing it. So in this video, I'm going to show you the 6 practice mistakes that are secretly killing your progress and how to fix them so you improve twice as fast and enjoy music again. Mistake number 1. If you're chopping down a tree, every swing of the axe makes it a little more blunt. Keep swinging forever, and eventually you're just flailing pointlessly away at the trunk, using a whole load of effort, but barely making a dent. The only sensible move is to stop and sharpen your axe. Otherwise, all your hard work just leaves you frustrated and stuck. Music practice works exactly the same way. Mindless repetition, just hammering away at an exercise, turns your brain into a blunt axe. You burn plenty of time and energy, but make no actual progress. So mistake number 1 is spending too much of your practice time actually playing. Most people think more playing equals more progress, but the pros do the complete opposite. They pause and they think between practice attempts. Research shows that the best practicers don't just repeat things, they sit quietly. They might hum to themselves. Maybe they jot down notes or even talk out loud. And this isn't wasted time. It's how they notice what works and spot the real causes of mistakes. It's sharpening the axe and it massively boosts your progress. Here's a simple way to put it into practice. Use the plan, do, reflect cycle. Plan what you'll focus on before each practice burst. Then do the thing. Then reflect, even just for a second, on what happened and what you'll tweak next. Most people just repeat the do step over and over, hoping they'll somehow magically get it right next time. But I've got some bad news for you. That next time will never actually come unless you pause to sharpen your thinking. This doesn't have to be a big deal. Sometimes it's just a split-second check-in. But when you spot something interesting or tricky, that's your cue to spend a bit longer planning your next move. When you deliberately stop playing like this, you practice less, but you improve twice as fast. Mistake number 2. I used to have weeks where I was obsessed with getting better, practicing late into the night, convinced that more reps would finally fix my mistakes. But the harder I pushed, the worse things got. Not only did the stubborn mistakes stick around, but I started making new ones as my energy and concentration faded. I'd end up more frustrated than ever, and often I'd discover the next day that I'd actually gone backwards. So mistake number 2 is not taking breaks. Here's what's going on. Building musical skills means wiring new pathways into your brain. That only happens when you're focused. If you're running on autopilot, you're not building skills, you're just wasting your time. And it gets worse. Imagine your practice as a wagon wheel carving a rut in the road. This rut is your brain's default path, and the more you repeat, the deeper it gets. When you carve a deep enough rut, it's almost impossible for you to play a passage incorrectly. But when you're tired and distracted, you create a mess of shallow, winding ruts. Come performance time, your brain might pick the wrong path entirely, and the fix is to take regular breaks to refresh your focus. Then every minute you spend practicing will actually count. Don't try to tough it out by maintaining intense levels of focus throughout marathon sessions. It's far more effective and way more fun to do short sprints of focus practice separated by mini breaks. Use a timer to remind you when these are due though. Don't guess. Try this. Practice for 5 or 10 minutes and then take a 1-minute break. If you go up to 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break. And for intense work, keep sessions shorter. During breaks, just sit quietly, stare into space, or take a quick walk. Don't check your phone, emails, or do other tasks. Let your brain reset. Small, regular breaks keep your focus sharp. Try them out in your next practice session. You'll be amazed how much faster you improve. Mistake number 3. I spent my 20s in a losing battle against my metronome, playing for hours at my absolute limit, convinced that this brute force approach would raise my top speed. But all I got was tense muscles, a scrambled mind, and 0 progress. The very thing I thought would help was actually holding me back. Mistake number 3 is practicing too fast. If you want to play fast and clean, you need to lock in the right movements, and that only happens when you're totally relaxed, both in your body and your mind. And the only way to get there is to practice slowly. I mean, really slowly, way slower than you think. This feels weird at first, but it's a secret that all the pros know. Here's a trick to find the right speed. Imagine someone bets you can't play without mistakes and you have to pay them $100 every time you slip. How slow would you go to avoid handing over huge wads of cash? That is your slow practice tempo. When I finally ditched my ego and embraced this snail's pace, everything changed. Suddenly, my playing felt effortless, even when I did speed up later. Of course, there's a time for fast practice too, but most of your progress will come from this deep, relaxed, slow work. And the key to sticking with it is to learn to enjoy it. Pretend the piece was meant to be played this way. Hunt for the beauty and calm in this slow tempo version. Picture it like soaking in a hot bath. The whole point is to lie back, take your time, and enjoy the experience rather than rushing to get to the full speed version. Mistake number 4. Imagine 2 students tackling a tricky piece. Both are struggling with the same spot. Alice practices the whole piece over and over. Let's say it takes a minute each time. Whereas Bob zooms right in on the problem area, looping nothing but that 6-second long section. Each suite represents one repetition of the hard bit. When they've added enough sweets to fill up their problem pot, they'll have fixed the problem. Alice gets a big chunk of playing done before she even hits her first suite. And then she continues with a whole lot more playing after, which also does nothing to fill her jar. Whereas Bob is throwing in suite after suite after suite right from the start. He's already racked up 10 by the time Alice starts her second rep. Soon, Bob's problem pot is full and he's mastered the piece. But poor old Alice is still a long, long way from fixing things. So mistake number 4 is practicing in sections that are too long. Progress doesn't come from total hours spent practicing. It comes from focused reps on the problem areas. So you need to isolate the smallest chunk where a mistake happens. If there are several problem areas, tackle each one separately. And remember that your brain records what you actually do, not what you meant to do. So it's not even just number of reps, but number of correct reps. So shrinking things down like this helps make every rep count. You're spending your precious resource of concentration only on the bits that really matter, rather than blowing lots of it on easy sections that just don't matter. Use the zoom in, zoom out technique to make this easy. Start by playing the whole piece. Record it if you can, and note the biggest problem areas. Then zoom in. Practice just those problem spots until they improve. Then zoom out again. Go back and play the whole piece to find the new problem areas, and so on. Stay laser focused on the trouble spots and you'll progress much faster. Give it a try and see how quickly your problem pots fill up. Mistake number 5. Imagine planning a trip to several amazing cities, but never getting further than the airports. As soon as you touch down in one city, you jump straight on the plane to the next one. Sounds crazy, right? You take the time to get there and then miss your chance to see the sights and soak up the atmosphere. But that is how most people practice. Racing through topics, ticking them off, but never really experiencing them. I used to do this too, moving on as soon as I could just about do something. But real progress only started when my mentor forced me to slow down and stay with topics much longer than felt comfortable. At first, it was painfully slow, but over time, the growth compounded, and I left my past self and all the other airport hoppers way behind. So, mistake 5 is moving on too soon. Most musicians rush ahead to the next thing, thinking it's the path to faster progress. But the real pros spend surprising amounts of time truly mastering one thing before moving on. Bruce Lee captured it brilliantly when he said that he didn't fear the man who practiced 10,000 kicks once, but he did fear the man who practiced one kick 10,000 times. It's like digging one deep well instead of dozens of shallow holes. If you keep starting new wells all the time, you never hit more than a trickle. But stick with it and you'll reach a depth where the precious water just keeps on gushing and gushing. Here's the hard part. Fear will tempt you to move on. You'll feel like you need to hurry in order to cover everything important. But what seems like the shortcut is actually the long road. That leads to shaky foundations and none of the work you do later will stand firm. So force yourself to be patient. Stick with your current focus. Revisit it often and trust that slow and steady now delivers exponential growth later on. 3 months from now, you'll be amazed at how far you've come. Mistake number 6. I spent years frustrated that my tennis never improved. The more tips I tried to fix my swing, the worse it got. Then, my coach made me do something that felt ridiculous. Focus on just one thing at a time, like footwork, and let everything else be rubbish. That meant allowing my backswing, contact point, follow through, and all the other important stuff to go straight out the window. No judgment, no fixing them. Suddenly, my game improved by leaps and bounds. Yes, some things got worse in the short term, but week by week, I finally made real progress. And it's exactly the same with music. So mistake number 6 is trying to improve more than one thing at a time. Playing music is challenging. So many tiny muscle movements, and your timing has to be spot on too. You can't possibly consciously control everything all at once. It's like juggling too many balls. You drop them all. Here's what's happening. Your brain only improves what you focus on enough to trigger real change. That's the learning threshold. Spread your attention too thin and you overload your brain. Nothing gets better. Focus on one thing and you make real progress. So don't try and get a whole phrase perfect in every way. Instead, pick one aspect, maybe tone, maybe rhythm, maybe accuracy, and work on just that. Let everything else slide for now. Then come back later and tackle the next thing. For example, pick a phrase. Play it 3 times, focusing only on rhythm. Rate yourself purely on whether the notes land in exactly the right place. A simple yes or no. You lose no points for problems like poor tone or wrong notes, and you gain no bonus points for doing them well either. Rhythm is all that matters for now. If you're willing to slow down and work through one area at a time like this, then your overall playing will leap forward. It feels strange, probably downright wrong, because some parts of your playing that genuinely matter will get worse for a bit. But it's essential if you want to make real progress. Next practice session, dare to focus on just one thing. You'll be amazed at how much faster you improve. But there's one more piece to the puzzle, because all that progress in practice means nothing if you can't deliver when it matters most. So watch this video next, where I share the tips I've used to help thousands of students consistently play their best when they perform.